Hi everyone, welcome to this lecture. We are going to be talking about basic cosplay makeup, like basic, not basic, but beginner-friendly cosplay makeup. My name is Linnea, I go under MitterMakes Cosplay.
And my name is Eric, I go by RakeMakes on most social medias, and together we formed the duo MitterMakes. So yeah, as she said, this is going to be more like an intro, like a very overall general makeup workshop or panel, so to speak. Yes?
We're doing this panel in English, so if you have any questions or want us to clarify something, just raise your hand and we'll try our best. Okay. So this lecture is built in 3 parts. It's beauty makeup, body paint, and SFX. So we'll try to cover a little bit out of each subject.
Yes, clicking. So the first one here is beauty makeup, which is like what you would call normal makeup that normal people wear, like in everyday makeup, like foundation, eyeliner, things like that. It's like the things that people who do not cosplay buy, like for their everyday life. So, yes.
The thing with regular makeup is that even if you're cosplaying a character that doesn't wear makeup, it can really make or break the character just to add a little bit of makeup. It doesn't have to be much. So to make it easy, the 5 most important steps, if you want to get into basic makeup, is a primer, which preps your skin for long use. A foundation, which could be both liquid and powder. It depends on what type you want. You can do both. You can do one of them. Mascara, pretty basic for your lashes. Just adding some mascara can do a lot of work for your face.
And if you don't know, mascara is like a little brush for your eyelashes to make them look longer and more vibrant.
Eyeliners changes your eye shape. They do not have to be used only for the eyes. They have a lot of different usages, as well as eyeshadow. You can absolutely use eyeshadow for your eyelids, but they have many, many uses, which we will get to later.
We're going to show you some examples of what they are not meant to be used for, but we use them for that. That's good. I also want to point out for people who normally don't wear makeup, mostly guys, like myself did. Some people were like, oh no, I only want to do cosplays with masks, I don't want to do makeup. But if you only add a little bit of foundation, it can add so much to your costume, just a little bit. So that's next. Contouring.
This is about contouring, which is when you change the shape of your face by using shadows and highlights. So the point is that everything that you paint darker is less visible, and everything that you paint lighter is more visible, more prominent. So, for example, if you're doing a character with very high cheekbones, if you add some white onto that, it really makes them appear more visible for everyone. Or if you have parts that you would like to hide, you paint them darker, and they will not be as noticeable.
It's basically if you want to change the shape of your face into more like, we completely stole this picture, I think it's in Spanish, but this was really good to look for, like if you want to change your face shape, because if you want to be more oval, if more triangular, a lot of anime characters have this impossibly sharp face, for example, so then you make it more dark on the edges and then like more bright on the chin, for example. That is to change the facial shape overall, and this can really like, well, tip the scale so you look a lot more like your character that you're trying to be.
This is a good example for a female and masculine contouring, because this drawing is the same picture, but using different types of contouring can give it a more masculine or a more feminine look, depending on what you're after. So the best way to learn contouring is to just stand in front of your mirror and play around with it. Have fun. Don't be scared to mess up, because we all mess up a lot of the times. But just try and play around with it and have fun. And you'll notice, you'll really see the shapes.
And for like 90% of the characters that I cosplay, it's always the L. This, bang bang. Either to make it look like a skeleton or to make it look like a really big buff boy. So yeah, always the L. for that one.
This is an example of using no makeup and using just a little bit of makeup, because the difference is there, especially in photos. You will notice the difference if you just wear a little bit of makeup. It will look a lot better and cleaner in photos.
Yeah, now we go to body paint. This is an old meme, but this is basically, body paint is the things you don't use in every day. Body paint is anything that, like if you want a very weird color, like blue or red or anything, and also you, as the name implies, you can put it on your body and not just your face. So we're going to go through the process of how to use it and what kind of types there are. This is the first one. Sure. Yes, the first one is called cream or grease makeup. It's called this because it's based on oil. So yeah, it rejects water. So this is really good for like if you want really vibrant, strong colors. Like this one right here is orange and yellow, which if you have this skin tone, you should probably go see a doctor. But the good thing about this is because it's oil-based, you can mix them together, create different shapes, and it's really good to covering things. It's almost like putting wall filler on your face, and you don't sweat it off. Obviously, if you put it like inside your armpit, it will fall off, but if you have it on your face, it will stay on much longer. The hard part then is that it's actually harder to remove, so you have to like have specific removal creams and things. And it will stain your clothes if it gets on you. But it's very good, especially for your face.
We should also mention that this stains if it's not fixed. You need to fix it with powder or setting spray, because since it's oil-based, it doesn't dry. So if you don't fix it with like powder or fixing powder, setting spray, you will stain a lot. So please fix your makeup. Fix, like not fix, but
we're going to mention what fixing or setting is a little later, but remember that.
Then we have water-based makeup, which, contrary to the oil-based, this is water-based, so you need to activate it with water. The perks of this, that it goes really quickly to apply. If you need to cover a large area, you can use water-based because you basically paint it on. And it's also good because you technically don't need to fix it because it dries. We would, however, recommend that you do it anyway because it's always good to fix your makeup. Yes. Since it's water-based, however, it's not as durable if you are sweating or if it's raining, because it will remove itself if it gets in contact with water. Yep.
But also one thing we can mention with water-based, it took us 5 years to realize this. 5 years. We used a sponge for our water-based makeup for our entire bodies. It took ages, and then once we were like at a supermarket, they're like, oh look, they got makeup brushes. So it's a wide makeup brush specifically for body paint. And we're like, okay, let's see how fast it goes. What? So using a wide brush for water-based makeup, if you want to cover a lot of area on your body, use a brush instead of a sponge. So much better. It took us 5 years.
Then there's alcohol-based, which technically is similar to the water-based in how it is applicated, but it activates with alcohol instead of water. So
note on that it's isopropanol, not acetone. Yep. Do not put acetone on your skin. It's specifically a specific type of alcohol, is isopropanol.
Then the downsides with this is that it's expensive. It might be hard to find good brands, and it has to be removed with alcohol. So say if you do one application of the makeup and then you remove it afterwards, it's fine. But if you are trying out new makeup for the first time, you do it 5 times and you remove it 5 times, your skin will hate you. So don't do that. It sucks.
Alcohol dries out your skin. Who knew?
And we also learned the hard way, the bad way, that if you fall asleep wearing alcohol makeup, it looks fine the day after. Yeah. Would not recommend, but it works.
Yeah. Yes, this is application, and here we're also going to talk about setting and fixing. We have a little SpongeBob there too. When you want to apply, this also goes for beauty makeup in most cases. When you want to apply body paint, you either use a sponge or a brush. You can, in some cases, also use your fingers, but this is better to use like these items here. For your entire body, as we said, use a brush, but for your face, we like to use sponges. You can see those little pizza-shaped squares. I think they're called latex sponges. Yeah. And the big colorful ones are called beauty blenders, and that's what's used for regular foundation. But it can also be used for body paints to apply those little nooks and crannies on your face. So yeah. And for, you want to take fixing?
Fixing spray or fixing powder depends on what you're comfortable with or which one works best for you.
It can also be called setting.
Setting powder, setting spray. Even if you think like, no, my costume is not that warm, it won't sweat off, it will. You will get warm, it will sweat off. So fixing your makeup is always recommended.
It's also the thing with fixing and setting, especially with powder, it's something called transparent powder. It looks white, but it doesn't like affect your makeup. And sometimes it looks, when you do your makeup, oh, it's so smudgy, but when you put powder on it, it evens everything out, so it looks a lot better. So. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to show some blood and gore photos, so if you are uncomfortable with that, please look away. We will let you know when it's, when it's done, and you can look again.
But it's all fake. So.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
SFX-makeup, which is special effects makeup. This is everything not covered by body paint or beauty makeup. Essentially, when you combine prosthetics or like liquid latex, silicone, things like that to create a more, well, weird look. Essentially, if you add anything that is not really makeup to your skin, then it's SFX makeup. So we can also use like facial prosthetics, lenses, things like that.
The stuff.
The stuff. Stuff.
I'm not sure if we go. No, okay. So you can start with latex, maybe?
Nope. Sorry, stepped on my cape.
No.
Yes. Latex, when we say latex, we also refer to like liquid rubber. This is, well, it's liquid rubber. You can use this either to like make masks and prosthetics and stuff, but also if you want to make like quick special effects for like making wounds or like cuts on your skin. You can also use it to make like if you want to cover up one eye so it looks like you don't, like it has been ripped off, things like that. So it's very useful, and you combine it with cotton or paper to make like texture or like, what would you call it, add more structure. One important thing to notice though is that you might be allergic to latex. So before you try this, you should take a little bit of latex on your hand, and if it becomes red or itchy, sadly you should never use latex. There are other things to do, like silicone and gelatin, but if you're allergic to latex, do not put it on your skin, especially not on your face.
Something else that is useful is wax or derma wax, which is basically just a paste that you make a base out of latex, like just paint some latex on your face for it to stick, and then you add the derma wax and you can sculpt on your face. And this can later be covered in makeup or grease paint and whatever. So if you need like subtle things, we will show some examples.
Yeah.
Derma wax is really good.
And then there's fake blood, which is blood that is fake. Yeah, basically you can either make your own fake blood. It's not that funny. Make your own fake blood, or you can buy fake blood. Making your own is very cheap. It's like based on like syrup and food coloring. But if you buy fake blood, it's usually the same ingredients, but it's really easy to wash away. I have covered a pair of pants once completely in fake blood, put it in a washer, done. But this can also be used, you can buy different types, like really bright red or dark, but also if you like spritz it on your face for like a fresh wound, it will look like a fresh wound, but it slightly hardens, so you can go around looking bloody all the time. So.
Also, a thing they do in movies when they need babies to be bloody and they don't want to stick a bunch of fake blood, they use strawberry jam. And that is actually really good if you want gory blood and want it to look like having chunks in it. Like strawberry jam is really good, and it smells really nice too. And then we'll just mention the difference between spirit gum and Prosade, because both are adhesives, glues, that you use to attach whatever you want to your face.
Like this beard.
Yeah. If you are gluing things that are supposed to stay still and are smaller things, spirit gum is really good. However, Prosaid is highly recommended. It's a glue that it was first used in medicine to hold wounds together.
Yeah. Like if you can't stitch a cut, like a wound, then you can use Prosaid. It's glue for your body.
The
like
thing with Prosaid is that it doesn't dry. So if you Prosaid it correctly to you, if it falls off, you can just stick it back on and it will still stay on you. The bad side is that you need special Prosaid remover. Otherwise, you won't get it off.
You will not. Trust us. You will not get that off if you don't use the remover. It might be expensive, but please buy the remover.
Yep.
So we're going to do some examples now. Yeah. So
I can start with the left photo, where the half of the face is covered in just latex and I think some paper tissue. And the scar, the skin piece in the middle is just derma wax.
This little edge here is just wax. Yeah. You can see that it looks kind of like a peeled skin. So wax is really good for that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the picture on the right there. That is a piece of cardboard I found in a drawer. And then I covered the edges with shredded cotton and liquid latex. And then I just smooshed it onto my face and put fake blood in layers. So that is the thing you can do with latex. You can add cotton or paper to make these weird textures, to do something fun. Here's a good example.
This is a very basic tutorial on how to make the simplest wounds using only toilet paper and latex and some makeup.
Yes.
So what you do is you stick the paper to your skin and add some latex on top of it. And then the second row, you see, you cover it with foundation and powder to make it look more like your skin. And in the third row, you use a scissor to cut open the little bubbles and creases, and you put makeup inside them, so it looks like open wounds. And then the last part is adding some fake blood. This all takes like 10 minutes or something, so if you need a really quick wound look that looks good, this is highly recommended.
Yeah, so just toilet paper and latex, super cheap. Now we go to
now
prosthetics.
The gore. The gore is over, so you may look again if you thought it was gross.
I think there's a little gore. Whatever. There's a little bit maybe. Now we're going to talk about prosthetics. And prosthetics is basically anything that you add to your skin. Like it can be like fake ears is a prosthetic, fake teeth are a prosthetic. Technically this beard is a prosthetic. But yeah, you know, it's when you add more like material to your body. So in these pictures, it's very interesting to know that this is the same prosthetic for both of these. But I think you cut off the bottom part just to use it. So this was like a whole face piece. And they also added some ears for the orc, and the vampire only has the same nose and forehead. So you can use I'm gonna call it basic prosthetics or like common prosthetics to create different looks. And you can buy them in different places. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the prosthetics process. This is technically a completely different lecture because it's complicated. But if we go over it really quickly, you can start.
Essentially, you have to make a shape made out of clay, and then you make a negative, which is like the inverted shape, by you covering it in plaster or like silicone. And then you have a positive, which is the final product, made from latex or silicone. And then you get this like little balloon-shaped thing. For example, if it's a nose, you get like a little fake nose, and then you apply that to your face. But this is the entire lecture in itself. So if you're looking for prosthetics, you can find many, many pre-made like ears, noses, cheeks, stuff like that everywhere, or commission someone to do them.
And life casting, this is also a process when you make a plaster cast out of your own head. So you have a little mini statue of your face at home. It's very creepy, but it's also very useful because when you're mapping out prosthetics or pieces, you can do it on your own face. So it's really cool and useful.
We're not going to talk about it in length here, but if you want to look it up, it's a life casting that you're looking for if you want to make your own head in plaster. And
so we're going to move to some of our examples of things you can do and you can use. So for this makeup, I only used eyeshadow and eyeliner. I think the base was some yellow makeup I had at home, but eyeliner is great for other things than using for your eyes. So this mouth and the cracks are all made of eyeliner, and the teeth are painted with eyeshadow. So you don't have to use it for what its intended purpose is.
Yeah.
And this is an example of how you can, if you use grease makeup, you can blend different colors together. For this example, I wanted it to match the color of the helmet. So these are two different shades of makeup that you mix together, and you take one first and the other after, and then you can use those to create your own nuances to better match them to whatever you want to match it to.
That was the gore I was talking about.
This is more gore.
This is an example of, what do you call it, back alley redneck prosthetics. Because these are not like professionally made molded. They're supposed to look like mirror pieces sticking out of the skin. But we just put like a little bit of clay and stuck the mirror piece into it, and then we poured the latex over it, and then we removed it and cut the edges, and then we're like, that's good enough, it looks like a cut, and then we just glued on the mirror pieces and then applied it to the skin. So you can use, like, I think those are like acrylic pieces or something.
No, those mirror pieces are, I found a silver envelope in my mailbox, and I cut it to the shape of mirror pieces.
Yes, so you can use weird things. That's right. You want it?
This is an example of when you want to use, you can use different colors. So for this, I wanted a kind of powdered blue look. But when I just used the blue, I looked like a Smurf. So it was not that great. So what I did was I took the blue first. I looked like a Smurf for a while. And then I added white makeup on top of it to just kind of get the blue shining through. So it's a little bit of blue, but mostly this pale whitish blue. So if you can't find the right shade, you can layer different colors on top of each other to get what you want.
Oh yeah, the fish scale technique. This one is basically the same as what she said before, that she did this layering technique to get the different shades of blue. But this is a cool technique to make fish scales, or like scaly skin. You want to take, because you did it?
Yeah, if you want really speedy scales, you just take a wig cap and you pull it over your face.
Or a hairnet, or like one of those things that are on an apple sometimes.
Anything that's webbed. And you pull it over your face and you look like an idiot for a few seconds while you dab on it with some makeup. And then when you remove it, you get this cool scale-like texture. So it's really, really easy. It takes like a minute or so.
Yeah, and you can use like anything if you want the texture, and just use it as a stamp, basically. So, yes, more blue.
More blue. I like blue characters. This is another example of just eyeshadow being your best friend. This, I don't think I had any blue makeup, like face paint makeup, so I just took white and then covered with the blue eyeshadow. And all the contouring and everything is just different shades of blue. 50 shades of blue.
We can mention that like if you make a character that has a very unnatural skin color, like blue, I don't know a lot of blue people, then you can actually use eyeshadow instead of contouring. Because contouring usually comes in shades of brown and pink, but if you're blue, you need something else. So then you use eyeshadows to use instead, like a darker and a lighter blue to make the same effect. Oh, it's a blending.
Yeah, this is, you can use eyeshadow to blend in colors. For this, I wanted a nice gradient from the purple forehead to the orange bottom. So I used eyeshadow, red eyeshadow, because the red color is kind of in the middle of those two. So it transitioned from purple to red to orange. And by doing that with eyeshadow, you get a smoother transition rather than just getting a line where the color changes. And you can do this with grease makeup as well. Just kind of add some middle shade to get a nicer transition for your makeup.
Yeah, here's an example of backstage getting dressed. This is what you can do with prosthetics. You can see clearly here that this is covered later, but the whole chest piece is a sculpted piece of latex. But that's just a shirt. The front is a t-shirt. The back is a t-shirt, so you can't see that. So it's just like a big patch. But then the teeth are also prosthetics, and the chin is a separate piece as well. And then I put this big helmet thing above it, and that one is completely stiff. But I have first layers upon layers of movable prosthetics, and then I add the final one on top of it. So you can create a lot of things with latex. So, yeah. Oh yeah, old age makeup.
Old age, you can talk.
Yes, sir. This is for a character, but usually you might just want to look like an old person. So then you can use contouring and specifically use eyeliner pencils to make these creases, because everyone gets old eventually. So if you like squint in the mirror, do funny faces, you can see like lines where it's supposed to go like in your forehead, near your eyes, and like, oh, fill those in on yourself, and then you can get a more like old look. So just look for where your own face creases when you do like extreme poses. And just fill those in with like contouring and pencil, and then you can look much older. And
another tip when you're doing this is sometimes it's better to follow your own natural lines than the characters. So if you see for this character has very oval ring shapes under the eyes, while my eyes were more rounded. But the thing was, that was my eye's natural curve, and it looked more natural for me to follow my own curves and lines rather than trying to replicate this oval type of look. So if you want it to look really natural, use your own features to your advantage.
Yes, and this is also, again, an example of using eyeshadow, but also want to mention you can mix water-based and grease makeup. If you use the water first, get a good coverage, like one layer. It doesn't have to look perfect, but then you cover yourself, do the big areas, and then you can use grease makeup on top of that. Then you can color yourself much, much faster and then work on more of the details. Yep. So if you have to do like your entire body, and like, oh, but I really want to do the face better, and I can't use two types of water makeup, then you can use water first, then grease, and then you details with eyeshadow and whatnot. You can also mention that when you apply water and grease, it will be a little sticky. But if you apply powder, for example, eyeshadow, that acts as a setter as well, and then you set like the fixing powder again on top of the eyeshadow. So everything is sealed in like a little bubble of goop.
It's also worth to mention that if you sometimes find yourself in a situation where you have body paint but you need to get out of it really quick, if you use this method with water closest to your skin and then grease makeup on top of it, it will go much faster to get off because the base is the water makeup. So.
Yes. Oh yeah, this is just an example of monochromic, I suppose you can call it. Here I followed my own age lines and looked closely at the reference for the character. So then I just imagined, since this one was black and white, I imagined I was just drawing a picture, like black and white pencil, and tried to follow that. So just white, gray, 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 did several layers, used lines, and imagined that I was just drawing a pencil drawing, which can help a lot. And then you only look at the lines. You don't look at like, oh, where does his cheeks go? Just imagine where are the lines, where are the curves. Just try to imagine the shapes, not what you're actually seeing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is also if you want just a slight paler color, not the full white paint. This is just a little bit of white, very thin white makeup, but with colored powder. So for this I used white powder, which gave it this kind of dusty, older look for it. So different colored powders is very fun to experiment with too, to get different effects.
We used a cream foundation in our own skin tone and a white powder for years, and now we can't find the same powder anymore, so we're very sad, so I have to relearn everything. But yeah. Yeah, here's an example of old make. Why am I old all the time? This is a good example of ball caps, and yeah, I know I'm old. Good example of prosthetics and beards, so to speak. This is a bought and styled beard that we just applied using Prosaid and Spirit Gum. But the bald cap, I want to mention, because that's kind of common in with prosthetics. A bald cap is just like the top part of your head, if you're wood bald, made of latex, sometimes silicone, but almost always latex. And then you have to apply that thing with either Prosaid or something called Cabosil. And then you trim the edges and blend them in. But the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to wear this costume many, many times. Bald caps and most prosthetics are single use. When you put on a latex prosthetic, that's it. When you take it off, it's gone. It's garbage. Because it gathers so much sweat and it's like really unsanitary to use again, and it will break when you take it off. So sadly, prosthetics are most often single use if they're made from latex. Just want to point that out.
And this is another example of very simple, because it doesn't have to be all the most expensive makeup or the most expensive glues or materials. You can use anything you find in your home. The stitches in this makeup was something I came up with last minute before we were leaving. It's my hair tie that I wore that day that I cut into pieces and just glued on my mouth. But it worked. So I know it can be a bit scary when you see all the makeup world, all the different products and the different brands, but you really don't have to learn everything, and you don't have to go for the most expensive ones. You can do whatever works for you. It's not a criteria to have the good stuff just to do good makeup.
Like our favorite eyeshadow palette was like a 255 different color eyeshadow palette from a very sketchy page on eBay. That was super cheap, but because it is so cheap, it's like really, really strong colors. So it's dirt cheap. It doesn't even have a brand, but that's our favorite one.
My favorite eyebrow pen is a really low budget one, and it's low budget because it's very hard, because you want those pens to be a little softer. But because this one is so hard, it works really good to use as your eyebrow pens. So like we bought 20 of those shitty pens, and people are like, why do you use this? And we're like, it's the best.
Don't question. This is also a good example of using what you have. Can anyone guess what we use for this? Let's throw it out there. Not you. No. It's edible, but it was oats, like wheat and stuff. So you just powder some oats, like breakfast oats, and latex, and different layers of grease paint. And then you get this scabby, gross scale skin. And since it's oats, it's like washed off really easily. I wouldn't eat it because it was covered in latex, but it works. So you can use anything.
You can really use, I mean, even for setting powder, I know, now I'm going to be honest, I know a lot of you maybe use hairspray as setting powder for your face. Don't do it. I mean, technically it works because you seal your face, but since you seal your entire face, you also seal the pores, so your skin won't be able to breathe. Please don't use hairspray to fix your makeup. Even flour, like the baking flour, is better to use as a powder than hairspray, or just baby powder or whatever.
Just buy baby powder. These are not relevant.
These are irrelevant because these are Swedish links.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Sorry. The point, I would guess, is that if you're unsure how to get started with your maybe like foundation and stuff, go into regular makeup stores, because often the personnel is really nice and will help you. Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask. And
we also noticed that in the other house, we are not sponsored, this is not like something like that, but in the other house over there, there is a Grimace makeup brand booth that sells our favorite SFX-makeup brand. So you can check that out. They have palettes, they have grease, they have water-based, lots of stuff. So they're like right across the street.
And if you have any questions or just want to ask something, please slide into our DMs or ask. We are more than happy to help.
We can extend on the side here afterwards, I guess, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That was all that we had. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.